that was more, but we're gonna do this now. So it's interesting to see how many alumni came. A few people said, "Oh, is there going to be a recording?" Which is interesting because I know how much people actually watch recordings. Very interesting. But this is kind of to see where you are in terms of alumni, what kind of support you need, and to check in. So one of the things we had talked about was meal planning, menu planning, and it's interesting because I'm hearing that across the board from people who completed the program, people who haven't completed, people who are sending me their trackers, which is finishing like this week, and they're like, I just really saw that when I have food, I make better choices, and now just so I'd love to hear where you guys are, where you're being successful, and where you feel like things are still, you need more support, maybe not more information, but support and accountability and implementation, and what you actually want. So Bela, why don't you start? I was already talking to Nama a bit, but we'll come back to that.
Where I am, I started doubling down on things like my workout comes first before anything else, which means that I drink more automatically, which is exciting.
One second.
And that in turn causes me to choose different foods. You know, like I choose very differently when I'm in that cycle.
Yeah.
So my, you know, like then my lunch / breakfast, for some reason I've been not able to eat, I don't know, like I'm not like in the breakfast mode, which I don't even know if that's good or bad, but it doesn't bother me.
It's
So
neutral.
I don't know, like
it's all neutral. Either it's working and it feels good and it's good for
okay.
You know?
Because I basically just go do whatever the workout situation is, and then I'm, you know, ready to eat or whatever. And I've had water. Okay, maybe I'm having some coffee before I'm leaving. It's probably true. But so anyway, then lunch becomes some kind of salad of some sort with some protein. But it's sort of like, I don't want to say it's automatic because it's not always true, but it's way easier for me to be in that mindset and to be in that like place once I start my day a certain way. I mean, I'm even like doing Fridays sometimes. Like that was different. That was a different thing for me. Dinner is still, you know, it's a little wiggly for me. I think because lunch I have a little more control over because it's just me and I'm not like worrying so much about who's around me and what I'm feeding people. And I think dinner just becomes like, even if I have a plan for myself, I get very involved in dinner. So I'm picking or something. And it's just like, that's just kind of what happens, which is not amazing, but like, then again, I'm not gonna lie, that's what happens.
Right.
In terms of the scale, I've seen like, I want to say that I'm basically in the same place weight-wise, but I don't know that that's bad. Like, I don't feel like...
That's excellent. Remember the first priority of the course, stop weight gain.
Yeah.
Stop weight gain.
Okay. So it's pretty like even keeled. Like I think you're talking about like 0.5 or 0.7, something like that at the end of the, you know. Yeah. So it goes between that. There was one point where I was down like a whole bunch. Like it's usually in the middle of the week. That's just sort of what happens. And it could be that if I continue with the gym the way that I have and the running and all kinds of things, so then maybe I'm gonna see a difference. But again,
is
cause mental
Shabbat
to happen.
where it's going up?
Yeah, I mean, probably. Like, I mean, that's when I'm gonna have some wine. That's when I'm gonna have a little bit of something else. And
did you sign up to come to the treat class?
Oh, not yet. I was thinking about it.
Treat class, all about the treat.
To do it.
All about the treats. It's the mindset about the treats, and it's It's those middle 4 weeks of the Shabbat Ideal Weight Blueprint. When we were talking about buffet and those liters of water on Shabbos in between candle lighting, and it's the very functional things. And then the mindset about treats.
Yeah.
So in terms of things, like if you were going to continue to see more weight loss, which is what you want, is it that you need a
Ideally.
meal plan, or do you need more Shabbat accountability?
I'm not sure because I don't want to say Shabbat isn't an issue, but I do want to say that it's very different. It's not the same situation where I come out and I'm like bloated and gross. And again, I can't say that that's constant, that, oh, I'm never going to have that on Shabbat. But for the most part, I really do see how
Get success with the program.
there's definite success. Like on Friday is not a off day for me anymore. It's like, oh, I am hungry. I can recognize that Friday's an actual day and I will be famished and it's time to eat. Like, it's not crazy. And then like dinner's happening so much earlier anyway, so that's cool.
Yes.
And then by the end of Shabbat, it's like I'm remembering, oh, let's make some, like, we have eggs, we have this, we have that. Like, here's what we're gonna.
So much
There's
better.
some salad left, So it's definitely not what it was. It's definitely like a
You think that if your
recognizing.
dinners were better, then you'd see more progress during the week. It's not going up, it's too much on Shabbat. So then you'd see overall more progress.
Right. Yeah.
If you were going to make a menu plan, would you want to make it weekly or would you want to make it monthly? What would actually be functionally better for you?
I mean, probably monthly, but when I say monthly, maybe it means that I'm repeating similar things like almost throughout the month. Like, I'm recognizing that there's this particular night that's perfect for me to make fish. There's a
Yes.
particular night that we can call, let's say it's Taco Tuesday, but I don't have to eat the taco,
Taco salad.
or whatever, exactly. Like, so then that's the kind of thing where if I do choose that kind of stuff, I want to make sure that what I'm putting in my mouth is not going to be detrimental the next day.
Right. Okay. So would it be monthly to come up with something and then weekly to be accountable to it, or just monthly? Just need month. Just need to have it. It doesn't need to be like you checking in. Where's the accountability piece that you need? And I'm going to come back to you, Nama. For you, what do you think in terms of meal planning and prep and implementing? Is it a monthly thing that would be helpful? Is it a weekly thing? What do you need in order to take the next step to be successful?
I think that for me, it's not so much a meal prep. It's more the getting to the grocery store and making sure I have the right things in the house. I have, like, the meal prep is easy.
That's part of meal prep, right? That's in my opinion, the first part, like the first part of meal prep. Do you have any grocery store that delivers?
Yeah, yes, but not like the fresh ones. Like, they do. I never use it. I always just go once a week on Thursday and I stack up for the week.
So then where do you get stuck if you go through stuff early?
It's either Jewel or Marianne's, or sometimes Sarah's tent.
So if you go, where do you have a problem of, oh, but then I don't have stuff in the house?
It's more like if I didn't get there and I just used what I had from last week and I didn't get, like, sometimes I'll buy a lot and then I have enough for a week and a half, but then what happens the second half of the week when I don't have anything
So
left?
one of the tips I give when it comes to meal planning and prep is before you go grocery shopping, to take what's left over and turn it into freezer meals. So like if I have like half a pumpkin and 5 zucchinis left, but it's not enough zucchinis that I really shouldn't go to the store, right? Like I still have to go to the store. So I'll chop the zucchinis into big chunks with the pumpkin, put it in a Ziploc bag with an onion in the freezer. And now there's a soup ready to go. I can toss it in a bowl with some stock and like in a pot from the freezer.
So
And
I
have
buy a lot of
gravy.
frozen vegetables and I just
Excellent.
pull them out, and it's the fresh protein that's under the problem. So I just, a lot of
Protein.
times I'll buy salmon and
Yeah.
freeze. So I
Yeah.
do a lot of that.
Good. So
And
it's
then
also
my
it's
lunch is always very consistent.
good.
And then like yesterday, I was like, told my husband, we're out of lettuce. I need my salad tomorrow. You got to stop at the fruit store. So he
Good.
did.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So for you, you feel like meal prep isn't the issue. What's one thing? Well, you're going through the program again, so you're going to get that stuff. But like, is there anything around meal prep or accountability
By me, it's more like who I'm around and what they're serving
Mm,
over the weekend, like spending time with my parents and then being by my mom's house. My mom's house is always a big trigger for me. Like, and she always likes to plate everybody's food. Like, let me fill up that thing. I'm like, Ma, let me take what I want. No.
Yeah, I would, by the way, agree with you completely. When my parents are around, like everything is just completely different. It's just a whole different situation in my brain. So
Yeah,
that's
I don't
actually
know what
really
it is about my
complicated for me.
parents. I don't know what it
right.
is about my mom, but it's like maybe that comfort piece. But I'm like so good when I'm on my own. And then I could do a great Shabbat when I'm like just me and my husband. But once I'm like celebrating with my parents, it's and she's like, why don't you I just made the delicious compote. I'm like, Ma, I already had my carb. I had a piece of a challah.
It's
Just
literally we just
take a
came from
little.
our weekly call and like Jewish moms, man, Jewish moms, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is real stuff. And now it's up to us to check ourselves when we notice ourselves getting involved in our kids' food, right? Um, it's my daughter brought home she was the best in the class. And she just gave me her card and I was like, okay, so I want you to give me your cards because we weren't celebrating it enough. And it's really important to celebrate these things. And I'm like, no, give me your cards and I'm going to return it to you with a treat. And I'm like, whoa, I don't just mean a food. I mean, it could be a piece of jewelry. It could be something like and they're like, yes, I get it. But it's so hard to not like, oh, okay, it's cold outside. My son's coming home. Let's just bake cookies.
Yeah.
Okay, we could do that, but like we could also make one of these healthy recipes, but also we cannot make so much. We can make like I can make the dough and then we could roll like a fourth of the recipe. And another day we could do more, and another day we can do more. Like those little things, those little touch points, like you said, part of making dinner for your family and meal planning is what energy do I want my kids to take away from the food with which I serve my food? Is it how I show love? Or is it more functional? Like we don't always think about laundry as how we show love. I mean, and that really is. But we're not like, some mothers like fold the clothes and then leave it on their bed, really pretty. And other moms are like, here's your laundry in a messy basket, like fold it yourself. No one's right, no one's wrong. Everybody has their own way that they're choosing to show love, right? So in menu planning for the family, when we're talking about dinner, we have to check in with what's our intention. Are we trying to show our kids love or are we trying to just functionally fill a need? You look like you're about to say something now.
Lily, I'm going to have to get off because I have a meeting now. So thank you so much for everything.
My pleasure. I'm here.
Okay.
Okay. And
All right.
send me your physical address. Okay. Right away.
Okay.
What's
All right. I appreciate it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye. Bela, what do you think? In terms of
Yes.
dinner, is it like part of how you want to show love, or is it just about physical need, or is it sometimes maybe once a week? This is going to be love night. This is filling a need.
I think there are times where it's functional and there are times where it's definitely showing love. And you're right about the whole treat thing. Actually, when I give my kid, when I say treat, they think food, they think sweet. So that is an obvious you know, go-to for them. Like my littlest, of course, is like chocolate, candy, this, you know, and it's an old issue. It's an old habit.
And every time we have that meeting with our moms and that mom issue, it's such a reminder, hey, I get to be the mom now. I get to change the story.
For a
And
while, before I started taking your classes, my mom was coming almost, I want to say 3 times a week at least, maybe more. And every day at 4, was like, okay, ice cream party, which was cute in the summer with the kids. And then it became this like thing. And I was like, I didn't think about it. And then I realized, oh,
like,
I
grandma, how
I
about
should be
grandma
doing that.
story time at 4 o'clock, right? How about grandma, let's do an art project at 4 o'clock, right? Or
Right.
food
Like,
is,
I don't even know how it became a thing, but it became a thing. And not only that, like, it's really bad for her. Like, it's actually really bad for her. So I somehow stopped it. Pretty sure most of what I did was not have it in the house. That's it. It's not available. Don't have it. Everyone's fine. You know, we'll all survive.
yeah. I'm gonna, can I
Um,
ask you a question, like a serious question?
sure.
So I lived that like with my parents, like someone who struggled with her weight from when she was a kid. And like my dad used to offer crazy rewards for losing weight, like, and my mom just kind of did her own, like, whatever. Plenty of baggage there. But one of the things that I found very helpful, because again, it's what we refuse to tolerate, then we change. So I decided I refuse to tolerate worrying about being with my parents around food. I refuse to tolerate that anymore. So whatever it's going to take, I am a person, right? We don't, to this day in the Shabbat Adobe group, we talked about identity. My identity now is I don't worry about food around my parents. I'm me. I do what I do. I'm going to do what I do no matter where I am. If they're good friends, if they're my parents, I'm going to do what I do. So anything that gets in the way of that is an opportunity. Like it's something I need to work on. I'm not going to
Right.
run from it or anything else. Like I'm going to be laser focused on getting to the goal. Whatever comes up, comes up. I welcome it, which is step number one. Know where you're going. So I want to have a healthy relationship with my mom. I just don't want it to be an issue anymore. So one of the things, there's all these things that come up. Well, what about that when for years, when I would see my mom, I would ask her to make, or she would offer to make my foods, my favorite foods, her homemade pizza, her chicken pot pie, her cookies. And my mom is actually very healthy. So like they're all healthy recipes, but they're not things I eat on a regular basis, or not things I need to eat for dinner, right? Maybe healthy as a kid, not so healthy now. And so there's so many other things that my mom can do for me when she comes. Like I never polish my silver. This is going to be recorded, but okay. But I don't ever polish my silver.
I love that I'm in good company.
Ever.
My
Um,
mother-in-law was very big on that. That was a very big thing for her.
and so I let my mom polish my silver when she comes. I'm also terrible at
Wow.
cleaning my windows.
Mm.
Like once in a
Yeah.
blue moon, I'm like, oh wow, like, oh no, that's just the window and screen that are so dusty.
It's not actually the weather
It's
outside.
not actually, and so I like tell the kids, go, okay, go get the hose. But my mother-in-law, when she comes, for the kids, still brings treats. I don't get involved in that. But I let her do, she folds plastic bags, grocery bags,
Oh my
into little
God.
things and puts them in little stacks. I let
Oh
her
my
do
God.
stuff for me that's not food related.
Right.
So
Right.
every time she tries to get, like, she's big into wine. I like wine. And I just stop engaging and over engaging in that. And instead, I'll ask her to bring me a novel. When she brought the kids tons of candy, I sent to her house all my water enhancers and teas, and she got to laugh at me and bring me, I don't understand. You don't have tea in Israel? You don't have tea in Israel?
Right.
But now it can be a thing because I'm teaching her what I want as a present. You know, when they
Yeah.
used to bring the kids tons of American stuff, one point we said to them, let's make it about experiences. Instead of buying the kids toys, sponsor a day. Come do something with them. Or send us money, not for a toy to buy them something, but for a day. We'll do an activity, we'll take pictures, they'll know every stop was from you.
That's
We
nice.
have to reteach our parents how we want to be connected with as adults.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to know.
Right.
And it's then also during the day, when it comes to our menu planning, thinking about we get to be intentional how we want to set that up with our kids. Is mommy always the one who makes dinner? Or does sometimes the big sister make dinner? Sometimes the big brother makes dinner. Sometimes the little kid makes dinner. Sometimes daddy makes dinner. Is dinner something that happens and we all work together on? Or is dinner, and there's no wrong answer, they're all neutral? Since you're the only one here today, we were gonna take a
Sorry.
minute and ask, what do you want the dinner experience to be like if you could choose anything at all? Because it's all neutral. It could be love, it could just be functional, it could be this night mommy cooks, you know, and that night is love, and everything else during the week is, you know, just one of the things that needs to happen in the house.
I think what I would do at this particular moment for myself is choose 3 nights that I know for sure they're what it is, because there are actually 3 nights that I have like in my head. I'm like, oh, that's that night. Oh, that's that night. But I never wrote it down and I never organized it.
Yes.
And the other thing I would do is definitely give myself options for the other nights, like so that I'm not scrounging for ideas and it's not a surprise to everybody and I'm not making dinner at 9 o'clock. I agree that it would be nice for my kids to make dinner. I just don't know if I can do that yet.
How old is your oldest?
Oh, they can make dinner. It's not that they can't. I'm just concentrating on what is for dinner. Like, I'm just thinking of like,
If you asked your kid, like, okay, Monday, who wants to make dinner? Do you think any of them would volunteer and be like, I would love to make dinner on Mondays?
no, nobody really volunteers. And it's more like I would have to have whatever it is prepped and
So
ready for them to make.
I would say ask them, does anybody here want to make dinner as a chore? Like, you can make whatever you want. We'll talk about it just to make sure it's balanced. You can make whatever you want. It is so empowering for kids. Tonight I'm working and my 11-year-old is making eggs and French fries and salad for her.
Okay, you know what? You're not wrong. My oldest is like 17. Like, there's no reason he can't make something. There's no reason that my daughter, who's also what, 13 or whatever, she can't. And not only that, the 10-year-old can for sure pull his weight. Like, he's 100%.
So let the kids
He's
bake,
the one that might even make the dinner.
right? We let them bake, but we don't let them make food.
Right. No, you're right. It's not like you're not wrong.
But it's a different, opens up different possibilities.
Right. So you're saying there would be 3 nights that I'm on as the one making dinner.
And that's
And the
mama love,
others,
if you choose to be. It could
right.
be mama love time.
Right. And the others, I'm giving over the job to somebody else. So that becomes what's happening. That's possible. But then my one question becomes, what happens if they just want schnitzel, which is okay, and they're not like, they're literally opening a bag and making schnitzel.
You have to have the boundaries. So I don't care if they want to heat up schnitzel, there has to be a vegetable. And if it's like schnitzel, then there has to be a cooked vegetable and a raw vegetable. If it's like eggs and chips, it can just be like raw veggies. Like, or
Mhm.
sauce, it can have veggies in the sauce, and it can be like a cucumber on the side, I don't care. But if you're gonna make like something like the more junky, the more veggies. So like if you're gonna make schnitzel, can they like my kids know how to defrost a bag of frozen broccoli. They pour boiling water over it in a bowl and it's good. And they can cut up some cucumbers and cherry tomatoes, like it's done. They can, and
Yeah,
then
they can do that.
it's like no big deal. And then if I come down, maybe I want schnitzel with zoodles and broccoli and thing, because I'm 75% veggies, and then it really doesn't matter if I have beef schnitzel if I'm actually 75% veggies. The schnitzel like nothing.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't think of it like that. I kept thinking, oh, I can't have schnitzel. That was
Right.
my thought. Like, oh no, what am I gonna eat?
But if I'm 75% veggies, I probably only need a half piece of schnitzel anyway at night, because I'm like 75% veggies. If they cut an Israeli salad and defrosted frozen broccoli, I would be so relieved to have to not make dinner. I'm like happy to have a half piece of schnitzel. Or take a
That
leftover
sounds
for
right.
a different day if I want. If I really just wasn't in the, like, I was like, I don't want schnitzel tonight. I could make an egg, or I could take a leftover piece of salmon. Different. But yeah, I'd be like, fine, yeah, schnitzel. Everyone's having schnitzel.
Okay.
Then we're also not making foods good or bad.
Right. Right. All right.
And then it can be more
That
functional.
makes
Well, you know
sense.
what? We're only going to do frozen schnitzel once a month. It's expensive and it's not so good for us. But I can teach you next time we're cooking for Shabbos how to take a piece of chicken and batter it in flour and corn stuff and put in the oven, and that's no big deal. And then next time, like maybe
I
once
mean,
a week,
I can teach them that for sure. It's not like I can't. It just means that I'd have to have it
just
physically
means
there,
that
ready.
one Shabbos when you're cooking anyway, you put that on
Right.
the menu and teach somebody how to do it.
Okay. That makes sense.
Right? It doesn't have to be like a separate day that you teach cooking.
Right.
Shabbos is really the best time to have help in the kitchen and start giving off other things like, chicken over potatoes. That's like always one of the easy first things I teach my kids. Chicken pieces over potatoes. You cannot mess it up, and
Right.
it's such
Right.
a good win. And then they can add onions
Yeah.
and carrots, and then you get vegetables in, and they put the chicken on top, and it's paprika, salt, pepper, garlic. Like you start the simplest simple, close it, 1 hour, and they succeeded.
That's pretty good.
You serve it on
You're
Shabbos,
right.
everyone's like, wow. The first time kids make their own pasta sauce, right? The first time the kids make their own tomato sauce, onions and garlic and crushed tomatoes, and they season it and they simmer it for 10 minutes, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, and they can make pasta noodles. It's a big deal. But now they cooked dinner.
Right. You're right.
Sauce.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
To me, menu
With you.
planning is about more than successful menu planning. That isn't just a spreadsheet that comes and goes, is to get behind. Once you come up with your intention, it's very easy to implement. Okay, and so maybe maybe you only give your kids one dinner a week to make, and you're happy to do the rest, and like your husband takes one, that's it. Or there's more leftovers. Maybe you do a soup, and there's always a soup, and then there's a leftovers day, and then there's Shabbos leftovers day, and so you're only cooking 2 other times. And so it's a little more functional, it's a little less special every night. But dinner time could be about you sitting with them and less about you being in the kitchen. It all depends on the person, what they want to get out of it.
That makes sense.
So I think this was really cool. I'm going to send out this recording to the alumni. And as of right now, for everybody who will watch this recording, I don't see myself making a monthly alumni only program, just because also, as we can see, not everybody wanted to show up on Zoom to do it. And I think we'll see what everybody's kind of response is. But as of right now, I'm going to be doing more like this one-off event. I'm doing the healthy desserts, and I'm going to do one on menu planning. I'm gonna do one on soups and one on salads and one on some other things that I have coming up, I think, in my mind. And then I think the audience needs to be bigger, where we can have 10, 15 people want to get on a Zoom before we offer something else. So if I see that a lot of people really want menu planning, whether or not they've done the Shabbat Idol or not, I might think about doing something separate just about menu planning and food in general that's not about Shabbos. And then people can do Shabbos and that stuff separately. But as you can see, like there's that emotional connection also in how we menu plan. And it's really how whether or not we end up sticking with it or not. You know?
Right, right.
I think that's a big deal. So what are your thoughts?
I think that makes sense. I like what you're saying. I would just want to go over, let's say I went ahead and I really tried to make this menu plan and everything. I would just want to go over it with you and see that I'm going to be meeting my own needs at the same time. Like I want to make sure everyone has and it is a family time, because I really believe in that. It's hard when like my husband is still working at like
Yeah.
midnight, but at the same time, even if it's fun for them, even if they're making whatever they're making, I want to also make sure that I'm taking care of myself in whatever way that means,
So I would
and
think
that I don't put stepping stones in front of me to block me, which is a
exactly.
very big issue. When I see it, it's a
I hate
problem.
it.
If I see it, it's like in my mouth.
So I think to me that it's like a monthly menu plan and then weekly check-in. Like hour at the beginning of the month, here's our mindset, here's what each person's working on. Now everybody sit down together, make your menu, like actual implementation time. Who has questions? But then a 30-minute check-in each week, you know? Hey, how are you doing with that menu? Are you getting what you want out of this? What came up? Do you need more ideas? This recipe didn't work. Oh, okay. Like actual, like very technical problem solving, and keep going, and everyone would learn also from each other. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure that people are ready or realize that they need or want it. I think it'll be interesting to find out. I'm curious to whether or not people think menu planning is once a month, I just decide this is pasta night. But like you said, I'm going to do zoodles, but then I don't have zoodles, but then the pasta's there anyway. And so then we have the
Right.
opportunity in a week to be like, oh, last week I ate the pasta. This week, I'm going to focus on eating the zoodles. And maybe I'm going to take a fourth cup of pasta and add it to my zoodles. The next week, hey, you know what? I realized that totally didn't make any difference. I didn't actually need it. I'm good without it. Like, and then the fourth week, you're like, oh, and actually half the kids ate me zoodles. So now I need to make more zoodles. Everybody's mixing. You know what I mean? Like, let it evolve and actually be
My
intentional.
my other comment would be that I am noticing, because you mentioned it, and I don't think I would have noticed it if you hadn't mentioned it. I eat so differently in the winter. I just gravitate towards the warm, hot things, and a lot of those things can be carb-like in
Yeah.
their in their in reality.
Yes.
um, but again, things like tea and soup are totally on the menu. They just have to be in the fridge ready to go, or the makings
Also,
of them need to be available.
soy sauce gives very much that same feeling. So like I do a lot of stir fry with soy sauce. Even though in the
Oh,
summer I avoid soy sauce more because it's very salty. I get low
yeah.
sodium, but still I notice in the winter, like I want it. I want that
Hmm.
salty, I want that hot, I want that umami sensation.
Yeah.
And soy sauce kind of gives that, thing. And then also focusing on more meaty vegetables like mushrooms and eggplant, which are great in stir fries and things like that, that are like, like braised cabbage, like those in tomato sauce, where it feels like you're eating a whole bowl of like yummy marinara sauce, but it's like those kind of things. And so like, I think to me, if you're not meeting weekly and you just meet once a month, I don't see it being as effective. And I am torn between doing something where people think they are, of doing it once a month and then not being able to
Yeah.
follow up. And I think the changes in the follow-up and not just in like the menu plan. It's in now what.
Right.
So I'm interested to see whether I want to start with the once a month and let people decide that that's what they want, is to do it once a week. Or from the beginning, it's, hey, if you get it, then you get to be a part of it. And if you don't get it, you don't get to be a part of it.
Right. Yeah.
But
That
I'm
makes sense.
happy to keep like having some alumni like bonus sessions like this and sharing them so that we all keep the conversation going. And I think you got some value out of this, right? Like it was worth getting on.
Totally. Are you kidding? Of course. Every time you have a thing or a talk or anything, I get something out of it. Even your just like your lives or whatever. I always get something out of it. So thank you.
My pleasure. So have a great night. And I'm really curious, follow up with me about if you make any changes to your menu based on what we talked about.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Have a wonderful night.
You too.
Bye.